Thank you so very much for coming out tonight in our not so pleasant weather. The time is 7:04 and I'd like to officially call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Okay, Briggs?
Here.
Blackman? Here. Paredes?
Here.
Huckabee? Here. Ford?
Here, and a quorum is present. Thank you. First item on the agenda, holiday waiver hearing. Okay, I would like to officially open the floor to a public hearing to waive the Casimir Pulaski holiday. I need a motion, please. Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Briggs?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
It was just
You were just opening up the.
Oh, we're just opening up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so Briggs, yes. Paredes?
Yes.
Huckabee?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes, motion is passed. Go ahead, Ms. Huckabee.
I know it depends on how you look at this, but we're doing this and I just want to make sure that we're not, it's not like Yom Kippur, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, sure.
It's not like that.
It's
But-
important. I think part of the agreement in waiving this holiday is that we'll spend some time, talk about Casimir Pulaski in school, have discussions, bring the content to the students, which will probably be more than they've ever talked about Casimir Pulaski because we're usually not in school.
Yeah.
The other thing is it gives us a valuable day of instruction now as opposed to on June 11th, which can change.
So, are we talking about for good going forward or just only for this year?
I would say only for this year,
Okay, that's all I was saying.
just because we missed that third day.
Yeah, no, I get it. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Then if there are no other questions, I would like to adjourn this portion of the public hearing. I need a motion, please. Second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, we will move back to our regularly scheduled program. We do not have any audience comments, so I'm going to keep moving. The next item on the report, Superintendent's report, Dr. Smith.
Sure. And as we talk about Casimir Pulaski Day, I'm actually happy that we finished a full week of school last week. We're looking forward to another strong week ahead of another 3-day weekend. Unfortunately, but President's Day is next Monday, so obviously we will not be in session Monday, February 18th. We are expecting some challenging weather tonight. You might have noticed on your way in, but nothing that should prevent us from having school tomorrow. I think we're far enough south that we should only get mostly rain, but probably a little bit of freezing in there as well. So just want to ask everyone to take a little bit more time on their morning commute to make sure that they leave enough time to arrive safely at their destination. Today we had Mr. Jimmy Casas and Mr. Jeff Zuhl from Connect Ed visiting our schools, working with our building administrators, really helping them and supporting their work in developing high-performing cultures. This was their third day in the district. They were out over the summer, then in the fall, and then today to work with our staff. It's really been a great professional development for all of us. So I know that we're looking forward to reflecting with the building administrators on their work today and determining our next steps. They'll help us into, not only for the rest of this year, but we may keep some sort of agreement or arrangement with them as we move forward. They've just done a really nice job. This Wednesday, our preparation and steps forward for our silent science pilot will continue. If you remember, we talked to the board about implementing a science program on a limited basis next year to be ready for the science assessment that's going to count for the school ratings. So that happens on Wednesday. We have some more, the Amplify is going to come out and provide some additional training to prepare for a pilot. We would only look to implement in grades 5 through 8 next year, and then K through 4 in 2020, 2021. So we want our kids to just be in the best situation to demonstrate their knowledge, so that rolling implementation should do just that. And we're also sensitive just to the amount of work that our elementary teachers have done over the last 2 years, 3 going into next year, with math last year, literacy this year, capturing kids' hearts next year. It's a lot. It's certainly a lot when we're not divided by departments at the elementary level. So we want to spread out those implementations, we want to get the best bang for our buck, and this should do that. So it's going to be certainly a busy spring with some of the other approvals that we've already had, but we're looking forward to it, and it's really good work for children. So that should be an interesting spring. That's it, my report.
Any questions or comments? We will be moving through the agenda. Next item is the consent agenda items. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
I said,
Very good.
I am all about efficiency.
Okay. All right then, I need a roll call.
Okay, and Steve made the motion, who seconded? Okay. All righty, Huckabee,
yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes, and the motion has passed. Next item, the next several items are for discussion. The first one is mid-year financial update.
There are no words in this. I'm so sorry. Okay, we're at the mid-year, so this is as of December 31st, okay? Again, these should start looking familiar to you. These are the new pictures that you've been getting on your board reports. So let's kind of just walk through what they are, what I've been doing, what creates these, okay? So the first 3 slides are going to be on your revenue side, and the second 3 are going to be on your expense side. The first graph, what it does is show you how much revenue we received last year at this time compared to this year at this time. So last year is the green, this year is that variable purplish color, okay? You can say on the local side, we're a little under, but really not significant. State, the same thing, but remember the state last year started catching up on some of their payments. There's a few things sitting at the comptroller, but nothing significant like we've seen in the past. They're pretty well on, and federal funds are kind of right there. So compared to what we've done last year, we're right there. This one will give you a snapshot of what was projected to have been received at this point and what has been. Again, you're going to see we are right there on projected. Now, let's talk about projected, because that's something I'm going to talk to you about a bunch. What 5CAS Plus gives us the ability to do is take 6 years worth of data, which is now into our model, and actually project based on our experience over the last 6 years when we receive revenues and when expenditures go out. I can drill down as far down into an account number and actually pick out anomalies if they're in there to try and give us a better projection. And that's what we've done so far. Now, this is our first year of it. So we're waiting to see how this kind of rolls out and how well it trends. But you'll see where we are at this point. I'm very excited about it so far. So again, from projected to current, we're right there. This one is going to give you the budget, the projected, and where we are. So being that we're about the half-year point, it's about where we're at is the half, about halfway. You're going to see it's actually a little lower than halfway because remember the majority of our local revenues are the property taxes, and you always get a larger installment is our second collection, which will be coming up March 1st. So we should be seeing the rest of that coming in pretty soon. Okay, so again, we're pretty on task with the revenue side. On the expenditures, same graph, just on the expenditure side. So this again is last year to this year. You would expect to see a little increase in salaries and benefits as we've seen increases in salary. Capital outlay, again, we had a much larger, obviously, the construction over the summer than we did the prior year. Everything else is coming pretty well right on. Supplies a little more, again, that's the new curriculum that you're seeing. So a lot of this is very much explainable. But when you look at then the projection, again, we're coming right on.
What's some of the non-cap equipment?
Non-cap equipment, computers, a lot of miscellaneous type of things. The biggest thing is really computer purchases, because we remember we had the Chromebook purchase at the beginning of this year. That's the majority of it, honestly,
So that's the majority of the non-cap?
of the non-cap. Yeah.
That's why, can you go back to the other slide? So that's why
Yeah, we didn't have
it's so
that.
high, right?
Correct. Okay, and then again, we'll give you the budget to our projected, to our actual. So we're coming in right about where we said we were going to be. So what this is going to show you is the prior year, year-to-date, and then where we are this year. So what I'm looking at is on trend. At this point in time last year, we were at about 46% of revenues collected. This year, we're, trailing a little bit, about 44. And again, it's a little bit behind on local property taxes, but not significant. It's more on the state line, and I kind of expected to see that just because of how much money they were making up last year, okay? Starting to look down on the expenditure side, 45.09 to 45.89. Right there, same thing. Okay, so again, we're kind of coming right back in on trend. This is my exciting slide, I love this one. We are looking at current year to date, so this is where we are right now, okay? This column here, anticipated revenues, expenses, that's the trend. So that is what we're looking at for the last 6 years worth of experience is now trending for the next 6 months and telling us then where we think we're going to end up on forecast. Compare it to our budget. Right now, it's coming in a little bit under on revenue, it's coming a little bit under on expenses to give us a variance of $80,000. I look at that and go, might as well be zero, I'll look at that. Now, we're going to see where that comes in at the end of the year. Because again, this is our first year using the model, but right now we're projecting right on, and things seem to be going, and the model's working really very nicely. Yeah, and we've been having a hard time getting this slide to load, so let me just tell you what it is. The dotted line is fund balance by month last year. The blue line is fund balance by month this year, which we knew there was going to be a drop because that's your construction. You chose to use fund balances to pay for the construction. So it is showing bringing down fund balances, but then again, we talked about that. It's bringing them down to the level that we want to.
Actually, can we pull that up as, if you pull it up in PDF form?
Yeah. There you go. Can you blow it up a little bit? So you'll see here, we were trending higher. I'm sorry, here, we were trending higher. And then we started paying for construction. And then it started coming drop again. So you can actually see where the construction projects start to come into play.
So are you saying that these numbers that we are seeing is including reserve or no?
Those are the reserves. Those are reserve balances.
Okay.
Those are the balances.
No, I'm talking about going back to the aggregate, the financial summary. You go back there,
Scroll
and
back.
I know that is.
Which one?
But I just want to make sure, are we seeing the numbers here? This is what I reserve about.
No, no. The reserve balance is right down here in the very bottom.
Okay.
Very bottom, yeah. So you start over there with your prior year ending balance, which would be this year's beginning balance, and coming down to the 29. So again, that's your construction.
Right. Okay.
One of the things we've added to our meeting on the 25th, we're bringing it back. We had a conversation in the fall just about spending down that fund balance. And so we'll come back on the 25th and just restart that conversation. I want to make sure that we're just constantly purposeful about those dollars and that are certainly very respectful of the community's money. So we'll bring that back on the 25th.
I do have another question. And it was something, I'm just curious as it ties into our reserves and what our fund balances are. Let me see, how do I want to phrase this question? Do our fund balances have anything to do with our bond rating?
Yeah.
So,
So, especially S&P likes to see an awful lot of cash on hand.
so the more you have, the better
Higher
your
rating.
rating is.
And the higher your rating, the lower your interest rate.
So when you go to borrow money.
Is there a floor that we? or-
They don't really give you a hard, fast number. We did not get the highest rating on our bonds the last time out, even though our fund balances were as high as they were. They did knock us down a little bit for fund balances, which is kind of ironic.
Is
But
it based on the economy and what the economy is doing at that time too, or no?
it's mostly based on the financial position of your district. The high school got a slightly higher fund rating than we did, and it was due to fund balance.
What was our rating? Do you remember?
Was it a triple?
Double those two.
Double, it's a triple. Yeah.
We were just shaved off on that. But we did really well when we went to market with that.
Thank you.
Oh, that's it?
That's it.
Oh. Okay. All right. 2019-2020 calendar.
Sure, so we're still working on this. We will bring it back for a true discussion on the 25th for approval then in March. But right now, we are trending towards aligning with Home Foster High School. That puts us returning with teachers on April 12th and students on, August 12th. And students on August 15th, that would have us out of school before Memorial Day. And the thought is to move the calendar up. It's always great to align with the high school, especially when it's a small community like this. But it gives us a couple of things. One, finals are finished before winter break. So when students go on winter break, they're actually off. They're not just being off and then they have to somehow stay in the zone and come back and take the test. The other thing it does, it aligns our schedule for whatever work we're going to do in the summer of 2020. And we may need a chunk of time depending on the type of work. We've talked about air conditioning and the rest of the buildings, including Flossmoor Hills and Western Avenue, things of that nature. So we may need a chunk of time to make sure that we get all that done. Effectively, this would at least allow us some flexibility to get in the summer in case something did happen with that construction schedule. So if there are any thoughts, questions, otherwise we'll prepare a draft, bring that back on the 25th. We'll continue to speak with the FEA just about what the days would look like, but then we'll have a formal discussion on the 25th.
That's a quick question. I know this came up last time. Are we sticking with the trimester model for the grade schools?
Annabelle and I were trying to, I can't remember who asked, but why and then when. So we were trying to figure out when. We have no idea when that decision was made. We're just going to, we'll bring a recommendation.
All right.
But no, we'll go with it. Because we could not find any reason why we were operating.
My question is, we don't have to more bad weather, you know, that it can happen. So, are there emergency days built in here?
5.
And that's not including what has been used already?
So you build in 5 every year. If you use those 5, anything after that becomes an act of God, you don't have to make it up. So right now we have to make up 3 of those days. There's thought that because an emergency was declared that we would have to make them up, but that's just not the case. So we have to make up our 3 this year. Casimir Pulaski because one of those, and we have to tack 2 on to the end of the school year. So this calendar, starting on, with kids on August 15th, we still have 5 days built in as emergency days, just in case.
So,
Go ahead, you go.
so, excuse me, so we may have to come back to the table if something else drastic happens, we
Oh, sure.
will be on.
Well, anytime we would make an adjustment to the calendar, we'd have to bring it back to the board.
And so when you say that, whatever, we don't have to make that up, as long as we meet the requirements of the state.
Oh,
In
absolutely.
terms of, that's it.
Sure, and now the challenge, you'll notice here, is the state requires 176 days of attendance. We currently have 175. So we're talking with the FDA about what that looks like, but ultimately we need to add a day of school to the county.
But planning for next year, that will be kept in mind.
Yeah, we'll have to add it for next year, for the 1920 school, not for this year.
Does this also include the day at Parker where we canceled because of something?
Oh, yeah, that, we don't have to make that up.
But I mean, like, we went, the elementary schools
Yep.
were in session,
Right.
one day.
School's in session on that day.
So if you're bringing this back on the 25th to discuss, so it won't get voted one way or another until March. I'm just thinking about parents making plans. I know we've already started to pay for camps and such, so it'll be March, right?
Well, we will have action items at the next meeting, so we, in theory, we could bring it for action.
Yeah, okay, all right. Any other questions? Next item, ESSA work plan.
We just wanted to share this with the board. The team had an opportunity to work with the Regional Office of Education last week, just on their plan. Again, this is coming back to the board at our meeting on the 25th, but this is truly a draft form. We wanted to share the information with you. Bella, other piece there.
So, with the Regional Office of Education, not just Baltimore, but several districts in Southwick area were working on the drafts of their plans. We went through the Illinois Quality Schools Framework rubric last time, and we used the information, the reflections from that rubric, coupled with the student performance data. So looking at the state assessment data, looking at the assessment data, all of those pieces and coming to some conclusions together, not just based on the reflections from the rubric, but what does the student assessment information tell us we need to do differently? The state has really stressed that the work plan is a precursor to the school improvement plan. It is not the actual school improvement plan. So that's why you won't see actual measures and targets in the work plan. That process is still reserved for the school improvement plan. It serves as a sort of guiding course, if you will, for the school improvement plan. Our initial discussions, we felt like we hit all of the pieces that needed to be addressed in terms of student attendance, making sure that we're paying attention to data-driven instruction in meaningful ways, opportunities for reteaching, addressing challenges with our special education population, not just in terms of academics, but in terms of social emotional learning and attendance as well. And the areas that, again, we were identified for, low income and special education, those were the two main areas that we discussed at the state meeting, but also recognizing that in terms of student growth and proficiency, our other student groups or subgroups are more attention as well. Like we want to make sure we're addressing the whole school and not sort of just targeting those two groups.
So when you guys come back at our next board meeting for what will be the final plan, right? Or what is
The
that
final
plan again?
guideline on the plan, because remember, what we have to submit to is we won't have any actions.
Right.
But it will guide the SIP work. So in theory, the school improvement plan could be ready to go by May. There's nothing stopping us from having it ready for the following year. We don't have to approve it by the end of February, but we have to submit it. And when we do submit it, we have to identify when the board will approve it.
So I think my question is, we have how many weeks of school left?
A lot.
Okay, so we have a lot of school left. So will you all identify, I don't want to call it low-hanging fruit because I don't want to discount anything that will be in this plan because I think it's all very important measures and steps that we'll be taking to improve it. But will you identify pieces of that future plan, because you will in essence know what that plan is going to consist of. Will you identify pieces that you can actually start working on now?
Yeah.
For the school year in, so that we have, so it would be helpful for us to hear what those things are, because obviously, because we have so many weeks of school left, this is a wonderful opportunity, so we don't want to discount the rest of this year either. So we don't want to wait until the SIP plan in the summer and the next school year, so, help us understand what pieces of your work plan you can actually start implementing immediately.
So on the 25th, we're actually bringing our midterm data. All the principals are working on school improvement plan updates, so we'll share with the data, where do we start, where are we currently, and what does that mean from here through the end of the school year? Because they're revising their plans, sometimes plans work, sometimes they don't. And we have to take an opportunity to reflect on the data, make the changes necessary, and then move forward. So that's exactly, I believe, that will meet your requirement, because I know that all the principals are really looking at a lot of time. This is the data that we got from August to January. We have 3.5 months left. We need to make that sort of growth in order to meet our target. So we'll bring all that information on 20th. And you'll hear from me actually each month.
Any other questions? Comments?
Well, I don't want to make this sound. Usually when the SIP plans, everyone is up to their SIP plans, each school
Sure.
principal does their SIP plan. Of course, we have not faced an issue like this before. So Parker's, I'm assuming, is going to be very different than what the usual things that we would be looking at the plan, because it will be integrated with these items that we're going to work on to improve because of the report card.
Some, part of the challenge that we face is time, right? That is not our friend. And we're out of institute days, we're out of school improvement days, we are out of all of those pieces. And so, as we're talking about the changes that we're going to make between now and the end of the year, we're limited on, one, the ability to implement wholesale changes, because there's no time to train the staff or to implement some of those things. Things with students, focusing on using data effectively, providing instruction where the students are to help them move to where they need to be, point A to point B, growth, so to speak. I think we can absolutely do those sorts of things. So I'm not sure it'll be drastically different. We're looking for high levels of specificity. We want to know that the plans are clear, that we know what we're talking about, that we can implement those, and that we can measure those effectively at the board level, but ultimately at the student level.
And it'll have target dates in terms of when these tasks, my thought is that this should be going on right now. I know we're saying we're out of time.
No, we're not out of time, but this is one item that we're working through. Absolutely.
It's a short window of time. So the curriculum that we approved I think it was last year, that went into place this year. Will this curriculum in any way help us in where we were deficient at Parker? Do we know that yet? Is that the hope?
Well, that's the plan.
That's the plan, yes, absolutely. It's in terms of alignment to the standards that the students will be measured on. We have made huge strides in making sure that we're providing students with standards aligned materials and standards aligned activities. That being said, we are always in the process of learning the material and making sure that we're training teachers on the go so that they're able to implement with fidelity. But absolutely, in terms of standards alignment, we feel like we are on the right track.
And I know from when we implemented, when the new curriculum went into place versus when we got that, of course, that definitely was not enough time to measure anything because that was the previous part. But
Right.
it's Ready, Gin, and Bridges, correct? Is that?
Ready Gin and Bridges at the elementary level, at junior high is My Perspectives in CPM.
Thank you.
But I think that's a really good point that you bring up, Merle. The next step of this whole process is instruction, right? So we have the great materials, we have devices, we have all of these resources in the hands of our teachers. Now we need to make sure that we are pairing the most effective instructional strategies with the resources that we have. And as we get, I'm not sure what letter it is later on, make sure it's letter H for the Illinois Power Partner with Silver Strong. That's the next step. It's focusing on the types of instruction in the classroom.
Dana, will the report on the 25th also include an update on capturing kids' hearts? And how?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big part of
Okay.
the Department of School Improvement, so we go absolutely.
Do we have any, on that note, do we have any feedback from students about changes they've seen along the way or input in terms of?
I have not asked specifically, but we can try to bring some back.
I mean, I'd be interested to see, I ask my students things frequently, and they say surprising things, that most of which has been very helpful. But I think that it might be, and again, I have full faith in what you guys are doing, but I think that might be an interesting
Absolutely.
perspective.
I think I would be particularly interested in the plan for capturing kids' hearts next year. You know, I want to make sure, I know teachers received some training, but did that training get them only to a certain point and then we're done with training? Do we need more funding? Like, where do we go? I mean, are teachers at Parker as trained as they possibly can be with this program?
So there's a difference between, currently there's a difference between training and implementation. And the gap between implementation and expectation is where the issue currently stands. So, yeah, I think there's always more training that we can do on the more sophisticated pieces of the program, whether it's implementing the social contract or some of those upper level student engagement pieces. But right now, we're still working on the basics of implementation. And until we get to that point, it's hard to expect, or it's hard to be able to expect the growth that we'd like to see. So we can absolutely bring the plan for next year. Obviously, I would ask for a little more time than the 25th because we'll have to have the elementary plan as well. So the initial training for the elementary schools, follow-up training for Parker Junior High School for next fall, and that would come in the spring. If that's okay.
That's fine. Any other questions? Next item, the bills are submitted for approval by the Board of Education each month. This month, Mr. Blackman was asked to review the bills for the month of February and had the opportunity to review them prior to the meeting. Ms. Blackman?
May I have a motion to approve the bills in the amount of $692,723.10 for the month of February as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Briggs,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Paredes. Ford.
Yes. Can I have a motion to approve payroll in the amount of $1,483,171.32 for the month of January?
So moved.
Roll call.
Okay, Paredes,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes?
Blackman,
Yes.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes, and the motion is passed. Can I have a motion to approve the personnel report as presented?
So moved.
Roll call, please. No question.
Yeah, I might answer. I'm good, sorry.
Roll call, please.
Blackman,
Yes.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes, and the motion is passed. Can I have a motion to approve the contract for architectural services with Wold Architects and Engineers?
So moved.
Second. Any questions? Comments? Roll call, please.
Blackman,
Yes.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes, and the motion is passed. Can I have a motion, please, to approve the daily substitute teacher rates as presented, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
I actually have a quick question.
Sorry, question?
Just as a matter of maybe trivia at this point, what was our previous sub pay prior to, or current?
So it depends on which building you're in currently. So it's 90 for the elementary and 100 for the junior high. Right? Yeah.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Roll call.
Okay, Briggs,
Yes.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes, and the motion is passed. Can I have a motion to approve the change to the nurses' starting salaries?
So moved.
Second. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Okay, Huckabee,
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes, and the motion is passed. Can I have a motion to approve policy 7270 and policy 7275 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Comments?
I would like to point out one piece here. The weight policy for all 4 sections is in the information, which says that if we don't have the antagonist, or we don't have access to it, then we're covered. And that's why we left all of those 4 pieces.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Okay, Briggs? Yes. Blackman?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Huckabee?
Yes.
Yes, and the motion is passed. Can I have a motion to approve the contract with Silver Strong and Associates for $12,000 plus the cost of support materials and resources?
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
Any questions?
I do have one. With this contract, is there anything in here, I just want to be clear, because I know there's a lot of training that's already going on or needs to happen. We have, if I remember this correctly, I know that they send, people out, but the support that's necessary so this program can be successful. Are we anticipating there to be a lot to this in terms of our staff? Or is it just, I know they're consultants, I know they're coming in.
Yeah, no, not really, because the year one is, the focus is more on instructional leadership. So working with the leadership team, there may be some opportunities for teacher leaders to join that work, but the first 2 days is over the summer, so that's not taking instructional time. When we do the Leadership Institute, where we're working on effective strategies for observing teachers and providing feedback to teachers on instruction, and then learning those key skills amongst the leaders. And then during the school year, it's web-based coaching. So we would be connecting with them virtually, either not taking class time out or not taking teachers out to do that work so that we could.
So nobody on site?
Except for the site visit, and then the Leadership Institute, they are on site. But again, that's over the summer. The web-based coaching, we would be working virtually with them.
That's what I was looking for.
And that would reduce the amount of meeting time, or, if we do have teacher leaders involved, taking those teachers out of the classroom to do the work.
So, I know that's leadership. Or maybe we talked about preparing people, that are here to lead whenever there were vacancies. Besides the leadership, I really need those individuals that may be identified or have been identified in the past that could possibly step up into roles of leadership later? Or is this a program where later I can say I'm coming in and I'm new and you identify me to be a leader at some point, then we can just continue this over and over again, and we have to continue to pay for this?
No, so the scope of work with them is with Silver Strong is for the first year, is what we're looking at tonight, and then we did ask for a continuation into the second year so that we can continue learning the tools and refining the tools. The idea is really that we're building up capacity amongst our leadership team, and our teacher leaders to be able to help others and spread the tools through the building so that it's not a matter of having to do a sort of whole staff training at once. Getting a small group, again, from the leadership aspect, really training and providing feedback to teachers and identifying the key strategies that we need for instruction to move instruction forward. And then that would help grow others by working with teachers and coaching teachers through using those tools. So we sort of become the experts at the end of this process.
So will our instructional coaches be included in this?
Absolutely, and that would be the type of leadership role from the teacher side of the leadership as well.
And then I see this is cost, that the cost is $12,000, but we will receive $65,000. Will we do this process again?
That would help support year two.
Oh, year two.
Yeah, so the 1003A funds that we receive for the Orion Power work, that would support year two.
Okay.
And then we can also use those funds for additional materials.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Okay, Blackman,
Yes.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes, and the motion is carried. Can I have a motion to approve the Canvas Learning Management System 5-year contract at a cost of $98,087.50? Any questions?
So this, again, this will take the place of eChalk, so eChalk will go away, Canvas will come into place, and we will no longer talk about adding emergency days because we will have the ability to have e-learning days. So we do have horrible weather. There's a way to still provide learning experiences for kids. This will revolutionize how we treat students who are absent, how they're able to interact with their own class while it's actually happening. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity to keep kids engaged in what they're doing, but also their parents as well. So I think this is going to be a really good thing moving forward to tie all of our curriculum pieces together.
This sounds really exciting. Just to clarify what we just said, so if we have a snow day or freeze out day, a day of distance learning, meaning you're at home, warm,
Right.
would that count as one of our 176 days?
Absolutely.
Okay. And is that something that, okay, yeah, well, that's.
Yeah, we're going to, there are a number of districts that are already doing that, and so we'll just basically pull their guidelines, change whatever pieces we want, and then at least we have a skeleton to move forward.
That sounds fantastic. So my follow-up to that is, do we have some teachers or some people in the district earmarked to kind of, get in there early and really be like the building experts on this system so that it's not a case of, okay, it's August,
We're going to provide a lot of training. We're putting the plans together right now to see what we want in that pool, but ultimately, as we've talked at the board level, when we call them tomorrow and say, but we're already approved, I'm hoping they'll just open it up. Right? We can start generating, credentials for people, and then as teachers want to get a little bit further out on the limb and learn on their own, they can do that. But if they want to wait for the official training, we can do that as well.
would it make sense to have a few parents just kind of sort of randomly selected who might be interested in seeing how it goes in terms of receiving information, interacting, so that we have a sense of what might be some pitfalls that we may run into next year. We can kind of workshop.
Sure, once we start generating content, we can also do it, otherwise it'll be on team. But yeah, no, I think that's great.
Any other questions?
So, I just want to make sure I understand. Teachers, are they take home their Chromebooks too?
You know, Chromebook, you can reach it from it's web-based, so your phone, your Chromebook, your MacBook, whatever's easiest. The question would be just, how do we set those expectations? If we're going to have an e-learning day, what does that mean as far as student engagement? Is everyone hopping on at 9 o'clock? Is it, log in before 10 o'clock, make sure you're in the discussion for the next 30 to 40 minutes and accomplish these things. So I think that's going to be the hardest part, is setting up all of the protocols. But once those are in place, I see no reason why can't be. Certainly not as great as sitting in front of a teacher, but it could also prevent us from having to add a day at the end of the school year and keep the instruction in the middle of the
I just want to say that I love it when we have like snow days. So I went to Mother Macaulay, and so I get posted all the time. And so anyhow, one of the things that came to me was like, there's no school, but please log in at 9 o'clock because there's e-learning. And so I was like, I mean, I'll pay you, but
Right, sure.
it's just the fact of like, we're not going to let a little snow stop us from carrying on.
Absolutely.
And there is an app that they have too. Perfect.
Yeah. There's an app, it's I verified it's a very easy parent portal. I mean, part of the challenge that you run into is just not being able to navigate a different piece of software that you're not familiar with. You have multiple children, there's drop downs, you can switch between children very quickly, very simply. You have access to a lot of information, and then we're only limited by our imagination. So how quickly we're ready to run, whether we jump into the grade book right away, but I think a lot of the tools in Canvas, the speed graders, the discussion portals, all of these things the teachers will find very engaging, and they'll begin to implement them right away.
Roll call, please.
Okay, Griggs?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Huckabee? Yes. Gorf?
Yes, the motion is passed. I have a motion to approve the initial 2019-2020 certified staffing plan as presented. Any questions?
So we're holding, I need to bring back the other job description that we talked about. So that is missing from this. You want to think that something happened in the process, but this would be to approve the STEAM teachers and the curriculum coordinator, and we'll come back on the 25th for an additional discussion about the job description.
So we're missing a job description, is that what it is?
For the Director of Administrative Services. We're going to fill out some of the human resource pieces before we brought back for discussion.
So we're not, you don't want to table this until we get it, we just want to go ahead and approve what we have, is that what?
I would recommend not waiting for that other job description.
We'll approve that
When it comes.
when it comes back.
Okay, all right.
Roll call, please.
Okay, Griggs? Yes. Paredes?
Yes.
Huckabee?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Gorf?
Yes, and the motion is passed. Can I have a motion to approve the summer school administration stipend in the amount of $5,500?
So moved.
Second.
Can you just remind the board again what the plan is? This is to bring someone on board or to select someone? I mean, historically, it's always been, as long as I can remember, it's always been an AP. But we're not using, there's no AP for whatever reasons. So what's the plan? Right, so from within?
Yeah, oh,
I'm assuming?
absolutely. If we were putting people who have type 75s, this is a great opportunity to run a mini school. You have a lot of support, thankfully, not only in the planning, but also in the implementation. But it's a great way, and we'll reference this earlier, to build up some of our teacher leaders who may not be in a formal position, but want to begin to assume some more responsibility. So I think there were probably anywhere from 5 to 8 teachers who already know that we have at least 3 who are So, yeah, it's really,
And so will this be just for this year, or every year will we assume that it won't go to an AP and we will open it up?
I think it's a conversation, right? I mean, part of the challenge we had last year is that we pulled our 2 APs away from all the plan, and that hurts. Right? So we sharpened the pencil. If you remember, this was a little bit higher when we first brought it. We went back, took a look at the expectations, other comparable positions, kind of sharpen that pencil a little bit. But I think it's probably a conversation we would have, after the conclusion. We'll see how it ran. And if we want to look at building it back into the assistant principal job description, or if we want to keep it as a separate piece.
But does that also mean we are effectively, I just can't remember the contract and job description, so are we pulling it out of the AP job description?
It's in there currently, because we haven't rewritten it yet. But if you want to rewrite them, I would not put it in there, especially for this year.
Any other questions? It's in the AP job description?
Or will we, historically,
So in the past, Haley Marty did it.
For me, he has to do other duties.
It's in all AP job description, I'm trying to understand.
No, I believe we added to the initial Parker AP positions.
Okay.
When we didn't add the additional elementary assistant principal, I mean, it's perfect for an elementary assistant because there's a principal who's running all the stuff over the summer, getting ready for the school year. At Parker, when you take the 2 APs out, it's a large part of the leadership team.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Paredes?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Blackman?
yes.
Huckabee?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes, and the motion is passed. Can I have a motion to approve the Find Your Website vendor contract with Apogee for a total of $39,900? Second. Any questions?
Again, this is just another step in trying to create more transparency and pushing information out to our community. We recommended Apogee over, I would probably say the second place vendor was Edlio because of the ease with which all of our administrators can post in one place and push information out to Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, the website, email, all of our different platforms from one location, entering the information once and getting sent. So we're really excited about the opportunity to work with Apogee.
And then just remind us what the timeline will be on us having a super fantastic, fabulous website.
They say 10 to 12 weeks, so.
It's 12 weeks. I'm sorry. 12 weeks?
Yeah. Because I think it will be a little on the shorter side because we're not going to migrate as much information, but still, there's several hundred pages of data to migrate from our current webpage, board stuff, just general information that really doesn't change. So somehow we'll have to pull that information and then it's just the website creation. So we'll have a better idea this week.
And so will there be consistency among the school web pages in relation to our page?
Yeah, so we can, hopefully you'll notice the trend with all these digital purchases from the website to Canvas. So all the Canvas pages are generally going to be the same. You'll know where the buttons are. If you're looking for a literacy button, it's on the left-hand side of everybody's page. It could look different, but all those pieces will be there. We do the same thing for the website. What we want to do is decrease the amount of thinking that people have to do when they go to a site to find information. So the more consistency we can create, the better.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Okay, Blackman?
Yes.
Huckabee?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes, and the motion is passed. Can I have a motion to approve the contract with Chicagoland Investigative Services for residency investigations? Second. Any questions?
So I know they were recommended by attorneys, so definitely they know what to look for.
Sure.
I guess the question that crossed my mind when I was reviewing this, even, when we were thinking about it, have there or historically, and I know we're probably doing not apples to apples on this, but historically, have we spent money on investigations that ended up not going anywhere?
Yes, and that caused the change.
And so we're looking for more efficiency in that way. So it's the $70, I think it was 70.
Yes.
$70 per hour of the time. Do we have any idea in looking at billing from previous vendors as to how much?
Well, we stopped paying, and so at some point I said we're not paying them any more money because we were getting reports that we couldn't take forward. The threshold is we have to be able to prove where a child sleeps. Where a child sleeps is where they live, right? So it doesn't matter if, they have a house here and they have a house there and they have a house there. Where the child sleeps, that's where they're a resident. What we weren't able to prove before is where a child A was sleeping. So, we'd go through an investigation and there'd be a statement that says, well, the child does not live at, 41 East Elmwood Drive. Well, perfect, except for the fact it doesn't matter if we can't prove where they do live. This firm, from everything that I've seen and in conversations with our attorneys, have been able to demonstrate unequivocally where a child does live. And so as you go to a residency hearing, you have all the information that you need for the hearing officer to make an effective decision.
So we're expecting more efficiency to be able to move forward.
Absolutely.
With more cases. So it's not by, I know this is going to sound real crazy, but about the number of cases that they're able to successfully work, but hopefully we won't experience what we've experienced in the past where we spent money in zero.
Right. And, there will absolutely be cases where we investigate a child and we find out that they live in our boundaries. Perfect.
Yeah,
Right. That's a sunken cost, which is okay. Absolutely. But for the other students who aren't, it's tough to say, but it's really tough to say. And we have to make sure that the children in our district are receiving those services and the families who are supposed to be.
Are we seeing no reduction or are we seeing a rise?
I'm not sure. We'll let you know after.
No, I'm saying historically. I mean, somebody has the data somewhere in terms of the number of resident issues that you investigated 2 years ago and 3 years ago, and where are we today? I mean, am I asking for something?
I actually think I remember this being asked before a few years ago, and I seem to believe it's been relatively consistent with, over the years, like even past like 10 years. There's been nothing like, wow, that's a bumper crop for residency.
We got our fair share in the fall,
Yeah, I mean,
like you would normally expect.
Right.
We can try to get that information for you, but
No, I'm just asking really for the board, I mean, just to know. I mean,
perhaps
we've seen a spike in what we've seen historically in the past. Are we looking to expect a great deal of money on residence issues that we got?
yes, plan on spending money.
Well, no, I said a lot of money.
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, it's relative, and really now's the window, because, if a student registers in your school district, they can finish, essentially, right? So, going into the registration window, which is what we're coming up on now, we've been collecting our names, and so we're gonna start that process, and we'll probably have, I don't even wanna estimate how many cases we'll come out with right out of the gate, but we wanna get those investigated before children are registering for the following school.
So we have a backlog.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, okay,
It
thank you.
almost sounds like we're going to be dealing with registration, and that's where but then again, it sounds like we're working out a backlog. So I'm just trying to understand.
A little bit of both, I think that's perfect.
How much, I mean, not that it's ever too much, but I just know in the past, it's, from what you all have said, it's just not good. So hopefully we'll see some better results as they're coming from.
Yeah, and we'll bring an update back to the board.
Yeah.
And it's a sensitive issue, so we want to make sure that we're transparent, that we're doing things the right way.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Blackman,
Yes.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes. And the motion is passed. Can I have a motion to approve the kinder prep program for the 2019 summer session?
So moved.
Second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Okay, Briggs,
Yes.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes, and the motion is passed. Can I have a motion to approve entering into the memorandum of understanding with Illinois Action for Children?
So moved.
Second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes, and the motion is passed. Can I have a motion to approve the calendar change for the 2018-2019 school year, making Monday, March 4th, Casimir Pulaski Day, a day of student attendance?
So moved.
Second. Any questions? Roll call.
How will we communicate with that?
It will be every year tomorrow.
Okay.
And, right, I mean, and we know that there will be families who don't, and we'll have to work with them. I know Fran is personally.
Roll call, please.
Okay, Briggs,
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes, and the motion is passed. Next item on the agenda is executive session. I need a motion, please, to move into executive session to discuss matters related to personnel, 5 ILCS 120. Yeah.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? There are no other items on the agenda to approve.
Nope, we're good.